Dead-end phrases, otherwise known as, what the hell does that mean? There are times in conversation where people don't want, or even can't offer anything further on the matter at hand. So what do? We provide our company with dead-end phrases. A dead-end phrase is akin to a non-answer to an inquiry. You'll have one person who might like to progress the conversation, but the person they're talking with can't, or isn't willing to do so. In many cases, it's no big deal. We either get the hint that the person offering the dead-end phrase is more or less telling us they'd like to move on, or there just isn't anything left on the bone to chew on, as it goes. Other instances, it's almost like dealing with a hostile witness in open court. It can be annoying. It can be obstructive. It can be good old-fashioned infuriating. But let's cozy into some specifics. I want to highlight 3 of very common examples of dead-end phrases in this blurb, and it starts with, "It is what it is." It is what it is mostly presents itself when somebody really doesn't have anything left to say. Almost like a news broadcaster's sign-off. This is CTV News. I'm Lloyd Robertson. It is what it is. The only difference is, as you might have noticed there, is that it rings of defeatism. As if to say, I give up, and caring about what we're talking about here is a waste of time. And so with that, it's completely bereft of insight, interest, or positivity in general, and that's at its best. At its worst, it can come off as a bit of a screw you. By that I mean, and imagine if you will, a contractor responding to your complaints about their work or their billing by saying, it is what it is. That is murder-inducing, if you ask me. The next example is gonna. Gonna is not to be lumped in with just the general contraction for going to. No. Gonna as a dead-end word is often used to deflect a direct and often yes or no question. Did you sweep the garage? Well, I'm gonna. Did you pay the hydro bill? Yeah, I'm gonna. Like, oh great, you're gonna pay it in the same way as we're gonna be without air conditioning if you don't. Gonna is basically like saying no, only you're kind of circling the drain. Kids and adults do it alike though. Growing up, we actually had a gonna song in our household when there was a particularly glaring use of the word. And no, don't ask, I'm not gonna sing it for you. So lastly, we've landed on what I think is perhaps the most antisocial of the trio, and it is the response to questions like, how could you do this to us? Or, why would you do such a thing? And that response is, why does anyone do anything? This little shard of anarchy is an outward way of telling somebody that either the act in question was done because the person wanted to see the world burn, or, and this is just as bad, doesn't want to reveal their motives, and would rather the inquiring party tumble around like an erratic nickel in the dryer of confusion and ambiguity. Clinkety clink clink. And of course, it's almost always delivered with a little bit of a smirk or a coy tone, which I'm afraid makes the whole experience that much worse. So, should we try putting a stop to dead-end phrases? Nah, I wouldn't go that far. It might not be very helpful or in any way constructive with respect to communicating with folks, but it has its place. My advice would be to not overdo it. Don't make a habit or a verbal reflex when you feel you might be at a loss for words. You see, it's all very vague. And when we dip into that well too often, we become a bit vague ourselves. And to be vague is ultimately the path to being misunderstood. That's not fun. To wit, if you have a chance to clear the air, shore up continuity, then take a moment to consider that what you have to say has value. We'd all love to know more.